As you can see, there is a layout on my table. I thought I was recording a reading, and I wasn't. So that's why the layout is all out here. This is a reading for anyone with Chiron in Aquarius, and you'll have to know your chart, your astrological chart, to be able to know whether you have Chiron in Aquarius. But one of the things that's one of the things that I have in my chart. And I understand that there are some things that happen sometimes when you have Chiron in Aquarius that make it somewhat interesting to move about the world. I'm looking into this as a moment in time for anyone who has Chiron in Aquarius in their charts. I want to know a little bit about that. So I will go ahead and go through this reading, look at the layout that I've got. I did this as a Celtic cross, and the first card I came up with, the first card that came up was the Knight of Wands. Now, the Knight of Wands is the inspirational, quick-moving, possibly even sometimes reckless, really creative energy. It's a card of creative energy, and a fire sign card. So this is the heart of the matter. And what crosses the Knight of Wands is the Chariot. This, to me, is an interesting combination, and it's a really active sort of energy that's in the center here. The Chariot actually moves things forward more quickly. So we've got an active card, and then we've got the energy of the Chariot. In the Chariot, you see someone who is driving these two horses, and these are the energies of the dark and light, and they're moving them together. So this is really where we are right now. I think this is the kind of energy that we often feel. It's a very, I have to do something. I really want to be myself, and my energy wants to get out in the world. At the base of the reading is the Tower. I think this is something that people who have Chiron in Aquarius might experience more tower moments than many. Things get disrupted and things get blown apart, and I think that reinventing oneself could be possibly more frequent for people who have Chiron in Aquarius. And at the top, you see the star. And so above and below are two types of, this is like the destruction, and this is like the creation. So things have been blown up, but things are being created at the same time. You know, the as above, so below, it's like the energies balance. So it's very dynamic, and there's three major arcana cards right here. In the past, and this is for the person, anyone who is watching this, this is a reading for now. It is not specific to time. This is a state that the person who watching this might find themselves in. But in the recent past, there's the Ten of Wands. And the Ten of Wands is another card of the fire creative energy. And what this is telling me is that in your recent past, you have been really busy, and you've got to the point where you've got to the end of a cycle, a creative cycle. But you have been carrying the fruits of your labor with you. You've been carrying. And the traditional card, you see a figure who's carrying a heavy bundle of 10 wands, and they're typically carrying them out in front of them. This is a bit different. This is a little bit like the individual has been on that journey and completed it, and now they're taking what they've learned with them. There's that. You could look at it that way, or you could look at it as you're done with this. Do you want to set the stuff down, or do you want to take it with you? At least this person has an ox to put the stuff on and can take that as a resource with them. But they're moving ahead. And the star shows me that there is energy that's coming up, that's current, that is healing. It's getting to wishes, and is talking about the manifestation of things that are coming. in the near future, there is the Three of Pentacles. And this is a time of collaboration. It's working together with a team. It's cooperative energy. And I think it's something that when we have a good collaboration, those of us with Chiron and Aquarius, it's a beautiful thing. And sometimes, and the thing about this deck is this card, to me, has a bit of a quality. The thing that they're putting together here, this textile that they've created, has sort of a look of a traffic signal. So what is the message of that to me sometimes is that the collaborations can be good. When they're good, they're wonderful. But sometimes there's energies that are not quite, that don't quite fit. We get into a collaboration where sometimes we get into conflicts. Sometimes those conflicts can be good because sometimes a creative conflict can push us in a different direction that we would not have thought. And it can also be the spur for digging into things that you need to work on in yourself to get to that sense of wholeness, to embrace the weird one that you are. If you feel like me, and sometimes you feel like a bit of an outsider, this kind of collaboration can be wonderful because you'll be working with, let's say, the kindred spirits. This card we'll get to a little bit later. The energy for the person with Chiron in Aquarius right now is the Seven of Pentacles. Now, this is a time when you may be taking a pause. You have your resources. We've been working on something, working on yourself. Your resources can be anything, energetic resources, material resources, etc. But you're taking time to possibly to look at that, to sit and look at your accomplishments and contemplate where you want to take them. And it's a time to prune and edit, or start working on how it is going to be completed. The environment around the person with Chiron in Aquarius is the Queen of Wands, and this is a great abundant creative energy. And the Queen of Wands is an atmosphere of creativity and an atmosphere of passion, as a time when you can express yourself. There's room for bold expression and helping others, and so this is a good environment to have around you at this time. As to the hopes and fears, I got the Fool card, and I think that sometimes if we look at the meaning of this is the hopes and fears. Maybe the hope is that you can embody that fool, that person who can just, envision, I can do anything. I haven't done it. I'll try it. The other side of it that might also be relevant to those with Chiron and Aquarius is that sometimes we feel a little bit like the odd person out, like an oddball. And sometimes we are uncomfortable with that and don't want to be taken as a fool. That could be the fear, but I really think it's the other. I think it's the hope that this new reinvention of ourself, because we're at the end of one cycle, is going to be the star. The wishes fulfilled and things that we could not possibly even thought of imagining, and the outcome here is temperance. And this is a good time to feel balanced. It's going to be a time when you can kind of get that combination of all of those energies together. And so it's a very good time to manifest a stable sort of situation. Then at the bottom of the deck, when I finished this reading, was the King of Pentacles. And that is a very strong base on which to be building. This could be a person around you, but this could be energy that you embody. Great prosperity and abundance, and this does not necessarily have to be material, but it can be material and spiritual abundance. And so things are really set up pretty well here. The next thing that I did was I looked at what was in the past. And the first card, the underlying cards, these were the underlying cards for the reading, the cards that were under the King of Pentacles. And so we had the Nine of Pentacles. And this is an individual who is really secure in their prosperous, and they're together. So it's kind of close to the King of Pentacles. So you've been building your stability and your abundance, but you've had also some doubts. The Two of Swords talks about decisions that need to be made, and sometimes not knowing about what you need to do. Sometimes this can be overthinking, and I think that is probably the thing here. There was a decision that you knew you had to make, but you thought about it too much and basically confused yourself about it. And the reason that I say that is because we have the King of Swords underneath this. And this could be an individual who, or it could be yourself. But what I think is what this feels like is, because it is Chiron and Aquarius, we do tend to have a great deal of intellectual activity, and we are pretty smart, and we know how to analyze things. I think you came to an analysis that came up with a logical conclusion, and then you second-guessed it and overthought it. Before that, we had the Knight of Pentacles, and this is more material world stability and more resource stability. So you've been building that. But there is also a feeling that you have been in a situation where you were hurt, because the Ten of Swords is often feeling stabbed in the back, literally. It can be feeling betrayed. It can be a situation where you're just tired of taking on all of the things that people are throwing at you that hurt you. And that's something that with Chiron and Aquarius, we tend to take on the hurts because we don't feel as much that we belong in this world as we're insecure about a lot of things, and we do tend to take on too much of other people's energy and negative feedback. So in order to try to fit in, and this is telling me that you have got to the point where you're not taking that anymore. And this card is a nice interpretation of the Ten of Swords traditional image, in that the individual here has gotten up and is walking away, is not taking that anymore. I'm done with this. I'm finished with it. So what I did next was I pulled cards of advice. And the first card of advice, a bunch fell out, and I took all of them. Just because as I looked through them, I realized that they told me a great deal. The first one was the Four of Wands. And this is relevant to a lot of the information here, because the Four of Wands talks about a stable home or family, or being around people that you feel are family, and it's a stable foundation. And that's an advice card, that we need that stable foundation. That's going to be possible because the Temperance card talks about balance and stability, and you have the Pentacles energy down here, and throughout the reading. And the other thing that it talks about is the Four of Wands can be a need to be sure that one of the things that is good for your stability is making sure that you have good boundaries. And I think that's really important for people who are sensitive about being an oddball or whatever, because we do take on criticism sometimes that we don't need to. We take on energy. Often there are people who have bullied us, and we've taken on their negative messages. And often that is, as we move through the cycles, we're in a new cycle and we've leveled up, we know better than to do that. And it's taken cycle after cycle after cycle to get to the point where we're not taking that energy on. We can just kind of walk away from it instead of taking it on board. And that is where those boundaries come in. and finding kinship with people who have higher, not the kind of energy that is negative or toxic, but a higher vibration of energy that we can collaborate with well. And the next piece of advice was showing me the Page of Wands. Now this is a youthful and creative, and this is a time for inspiration and really being the Fool. You know, this is the beginner's energy. Also, that's something that, you know, you can embrace. Also, there was a message that here's the Hierophant card. Now, in the traditional deck, this is a pope, and there's some sycophants standing in front of the pope, waiting for some word to come down. This deck has a more modern image. It's sort of a happy guru who's connected with a different kind of spirituality than the traditional pope image. And this is something that I think that appeals to a lot of us with Chiron and Aquarius. We're a different kind of spirituality. The next bit of advice was the Hermit. You can go inside. It's kind of a counterpart with the Hierophant. This is sort of an external world and connected to the universe, but this is an internal world. So we've got an external and internal sort of spirituality here. The Hermit has wisdom that is available to us, and we can use that. And that this could actually be individuals around you who you can find. You know, you need to be talking to people who have their energy in this level of, you know, this positive, that are intuitive, that know what's going on inside. And you also have that as your ability. There's also the Empress, who is a wonderful reminder that there is creation that we can manifest. This is a card of divine feminine, and it's a card of manifestation and being in touch with that side. And it is also a card of prosperity and abundance as well. We also had the Three of Cups as advice, and this is a time to celebrate, and this is celebrating with people that you love, kindred spirits. And finally, at the bottom of the advice was the Six of Wands. There is a victory. This I'm putting really right on top of this Ten of Wands, because that got you to the next round of, you know, you got your level up with this and from walking away. And this was your victory. And at the bottom of the deck for this was one final card, which was the Queen of Pentacles. So we have the royal pair of prosperity and abundance and stability and groundedness right here. Okay, and with that, I will leave it there. If you enjoyed this, please like, and if you really liked it and like the readings that I'm doing, please subscribe.